either one, and it's just another place where we can get more science points, which we turn scientific research into actual accomplishments. So I'm going to observe my mystery goo. I'm going to take an EVA report. Alright, now you're going to be doing this a lot. I'm going to board by pushing B. I have to be kind of standing in the right spot. And then I'm going to do something called a crew report. We haven't done that. You can only hold one per capsule. So if I had 2 capsules, I could have 2. But I can only have 1 per capsule. And I can transmit it by radio and collect another one. EVAs, I can stack them inside. I can store those reports inside. But as far as crew reports, I can only have 1. So that's why I didn't choose to do a crew report in all 3 areas, although I will eventually. So we've collected all the science we can here, and we recover the vessel. Okay, so we've just accomplished 2 missions. We've launched our first vessel, and we've collected science and data from Kerbal. So what you're going to see here is 24.3 science points earned. I think it gave us, it looks like they gave us something just for possibly something we didn't earn, but we got it for fulfillment of a contract. And then we also brought our parts back, so we'll get some money back. And he got 1 experience point. Now, something's going on here because I didn't earn as much money as I'm used to. I may have, and I'm just not. Anyway, let me just work through this. Strike that thought. Anyway, let's go back to mission control. Now, if you remember, we had 2 other main missions at the time. One was escape the atmosphere. Okay, for some reason that one's active already, and orbit Kerbin. Now I did not choose escape the atmosphere unless I clicked the button when I came here. I wonder if I have some type of auto setting that just automatically progressed me. That could be in that contract configurator. In stock game, you'll have to press accept that manually. I don't know what's going on because that was odd. I could have just clicked the button real fast and not noticed it, but I'll check on my review of the video. So what that's done is that's given me some more money for the next missions. And one thing we need to do is upgrade these facilities. Like this one, for example, is limited to 18 tons and a certain vessel size. This is limited to 30 parts, and this has capacity of 5 active Kerbals, and Kerbals can disembark only on Kerbin. Well, we want to do that in space. So look what can happen if we upgrade. We can have 12 Kerbals, and we can do EVAs when we leave the atmosphere. This will get us more science. So we're going to do this upgrade right here. Bam. We just upgraded 1 complex. We're going to eventually do them all. And that's what I'm here to do, is help that happen faster and you to understand that that's the goal and how to achieve that. So now we're here. This is what we get to spend our science points on. We call this the research tree. And we're of course going to spend 5 on Engineering 101. That gives us these parts here. And this is a good one. That's the thermometer. Oh, that must be my docking camera. That's a mod, guys. Camera just a camera. May provide some different visual modes. Okay, thank you. So, anyway, this is the one I want. It's a thermometer, and this I want an antenna. This allows me to transmit crew reports based on my batteries. This I can get more science. So I'm going to take that. Okay, and then I also need gas tanks, engines, and bigger solid boosters. I'll take that. Now I have a choice here, but this is the choice here, and this is why. It's right here. It's our press mat barometer. That's the baby we're after. We also would like to have a drag chute, bigger parachutes, landing gear, heat shields, and service bays. Service bays are like trunks on cars. put stuff in them. And you build permanent stuff in them too. So we'll research that. Right now we have 4.3 points left for later. We can't buy anything else, but that's the proper way to behave. Now, I don't think we'll be able to reach orbit, but we might be able to escape the atmosphere. Let's just jump right in here. And we'll take this craft and we'll just throw that bottom part off. I'm going to check the pressure. I'm going to increase this to, let's go 60. If you don't know where to start, just put it in the middle. This will be okay if we don't come in on the mountains at 1600. It's okay if you do anyway. They've compensated for that. It's actually a flaw in the game, but let me just make that statement like it's real, even though I'm making something up. Let's put it at 1600 in case we come into the mountains. What's going to happen if you come into the mountains is it's going to compensate for you and try to spring it over the altitude below your feet, not the altitude, not sea level. Okay, so your actual altitude above your ground at that point, not sea level. We measure everything by sea level. Don't worry about the contours of the earth until we start coming at it. So we need to think about both. And when you're talking, you should know whether you're probably talk sea level all the time, unless if you don't specify sea level. So another thing I'm going to try to do, and I might have to yank it off later. I'm going to go out of order. I just want to show you. Put on 2 drag chutes. These allowed me to come in hot and heavy. And then they slow it down. Okay, I may yank those out because I'm limited to 30 parts now. So also I may do the same thing with this heat shield. I don't really need it now, but I'm going to attach it just because it looks cool. And I'm going to need it for the next phase. No batteries yet. We do have an antenna. So now I'm just want 1. Now I've had everything on 2. So I got 2. See that? I had 2. It put both of them up there. Now I want it on 1. When it just goes in the middle, no matter what numbers are on it, just puts 1 down. So, alright, so I hold this here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the S button. That puts it up like that. I'm going to do it 2 more times. That points it down. I could have just pressed the W button once. Okay, and then I'm going to hold shift and press the S button 1 more time. 2. And see, it gives me a little angle like that. And I held, shift and push the button at the same time. And instead of contouring directly, I'm just, or the exact angle, I'm off angle now. And I could have turned this off and adjusted it manually, or kept it on and made big jumps. But I just wanted to show you how, if you push the shift button or the WSAD key when you're attaching parts, that it can change things. Alright, so the next thing I do is I come to a decoupler like this. And I put it right up there. That means we're only going to bring the capsule back. Everything else gets thrown away. And we have to do that for a reason. Something called the gravity well and the forces we're up against. Alright, so we're going to collect science while we're there. So I'm going to do, let's say, a pressure meter, a thermometer, and I'm actually pressing the D key. Now this is terrible for aerodynamics, and it only put down 1. I want 2 for balance. And I'll try to take 1 reading in upper atmosphere and 1 reading in space if we make it to space. Okay, so I can spin my mouse wheel like this, but if I hold my shift down, I move forward. So I'm spinning the wheel and holding shift and letting shift go and moving it different ways. So let's just finish this craft. I basically did the capsule part first. I'd like to show you something about the decals on here. You can change them, and then you can hold alternate and hit it, and it gives you another one. And then, oops, let me yank this. I didn't mean to get all that stuff. Alright, so I'm going to hold shift and hit Q. and I did it little increments and set that up, and now I'm going to hold them both again without getting the other two things and attach it. Alright, now I'm going to put an engine on the bottom of that, like that. And I'm going to take this, that's a decoupler. I'm going to go back to my solid boosters, and I'm going to have a big booster. Twice the size of the one we just used, but remember I took all the fuel and thrust out of that one. Now, that's our basic rocket, and we are at 18 parts. So that's beautiful. Now I can, I'm going to do a center of mass measurement. See that? I don't want to put fins above that, or if I do, I have to have above and below. So I've taken this, I want to put 3 on. And I'm going to put it as high as I can closer to the center of mass, which is going to move as we empty the fuel. Watch this. See, it moves up. So by the time it gets empty, we're almost top heavy, and we're not quite. And those little fins are going to keep us from rolling over, but we're going to be wanting to roll. I'm just going to check to make sure we didn't leave anything off. And we're well under our part count. So if you want to, what you can do is here, let me just do 1, zoom in. You can put an extra one of these on there. For example, let me show you this one. So like if I do it like this, it puts them across from each other like that. But watch what happens. I'm going to push down on the mouse button. Watch this one. This is cool. Alright, so now it puts it like kind of forward. And so you can see the seam of the door. Let me change the color of this. I don't like that color. There we go. You can see the seams of the door, and then now what I can also do is put this one back for a more aerodynamic shape. Lower this one down, down. Alright, so we're pretty good there, and we even have an extra. Let's check our part count. We're at 25. I'm going to go ahead and reset this. I can combine some of these stages, and since I preset my parachutes and I didn't explain that, I can put those in the stage, so no matter what happens, we'll just fire those off, and they won't open until they're at the right altitude. They're on auto release, and that's good in case our Kerbal passes out. We don't need his hand on the button. He's just going along for the ride. At this point, we're seeing if space kills him. I mean, if we were in our history. Does space kill men? Who would be doing this one? Who's the first man to leave? I think Mercury and John Glenn, maybe, but he didn't orbit. I could be wrong about that. I have to look that one up. It's been a while since I've looked at history. I think John Glenn might be the first one to orbit. And he did. No. Yeah, I think Gagarin's the first guy that went to space. That's right. He is, and Glenn's the first one to orbit. I don't know. Look it up. Space history is fun, especially if you do this and study space history at the same time. Then you can actually see the parallels, and you can relate to this game more while you're studying history, and you can relate to history more by utilizing this simulation edutainment programming. Notice I did not call it a game. Edutainment, simulation programming. Anyway, so we need to learn about debriefing. What we do right, what we do wrong, and how can we do it better. We debrief, we pre-brief, we plan. So anyway, what we've done is we built this craft that's kind of a briefing. And then when we do debriefing, which is what we do at the end of the craft, we do what we do right, what we do wrong, and what could we do better. So we'll debrief at every mission. It's one of the most important parts of a space program, is the debriefing. Now, I may have left the scientist on here by accident. I wanted a pilot, but we're gonna, oh my goodness. So if that happens, you just hit escape like that, revert flight to vehicle assembly. It's perfectly fine. We're going to get rid of him. We're going to put... Why are their future suits not on? Sorry. Alright, I'm going to put a pilot on board. That'll be Valentina. And we're going to go ahead and launch. So, stage is called a solid rocket booster. It's going to burn its fuel till it's done. Once we turn it on, we can't turn it off. Some of the Soviet solid rocket boosters in the early days were a stick of wood that they would put in a hole and light a fire and then sit there and wait for it to ignite. There was no countdown. It was automatic. But then they evolved. But they literally used wood and a hole to burn the solid rocket booster. Like, I wonder what kind of wood they used. That would be an interesting trivia point to know. What wood was used? Okay, so there's not... we can collect more science here. I don't have a lot of battery power, so I'm not going to waste it on a crew report, but I could get pressure data. See? And I can get temperature. I don't need to do a mystery goo report. We can do a second mystery goo that verifies the first one, but you get a lot less points for it. What I'm going to do is EVA. I'm going to grab the... take the data, and then I'm going to board. Now we can use those instruments again. And that's a good... that's why we need to be able to leave in space, so when we come back, we can collect all the data, put it in the capsule, and if everything blows up on re-entry, we'll have the data and the science inside with us, tucked away safe. So let's see if we can escape the atmosphere, and we'll try to achieve orbit, even though I don't think it's possible with this craft. We'll go ahead and go through the steps. So with a pilot, we have stability control. I just turned it on. I'm going to turn this on so I can watch my altitude. I'm 71 meters above sea level right now. Okay, if I change this switch, I'm 7 meters high. That's me sitting up here. That's what I'm measuring from, is me. But I'm putting it back where it was. So, let's just go ahead and launch, try to escape the atmosphere. I hope to goodness this is in the first half hour of the video. I'm really not sure. But let's just go. Alright. So you can see we're going up, 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 up. Now, we can't actually feel anything, so we watch the emotions of the Kerbal knot. We're also watching G-force. We're also watching our fuel here. We're also watching this number here, and we're watching this number here and this number here. So I'm going to turn my gas up right now because I know I need to. Maybe all the way. And as soon as that stops, I fire, and I'm firing. This is way too high, so I turn it back. Look, I'm going to turn it back to my gravitational force is just lifting me in the green. Now I'm watching this, and I'm watching this. So this is where I am, and this is where I'm going to be if I just turn the gas off now. So I can see this is at 44, I'm going to start to slow down because my goal is 70. Okay, so I'm going to slow down so I can see this just barely moving. See that? Just very slow. Now this is moving. Now I'm going to start to tip. Okay, and I'm watching this at the same time. I don't want to tip here because I'll roll over. I got to wait till I get some atmosphere to tip. And I'm going to stop at about 25 or 30. You can stop at 45. That's the traditional stopping point. But I'm pushing it a little because I'm actually trying to get to where I'm going. Now I'm watching myself burn fuel. I'm watching this number move up. I'm approaching 70. And 70 is my goal. See, I'm in the 60s now, so I'm going to start to pull over to 10. Now, this is a lot to take in. I'm at 1,000 meters per second up. I'm at 65. I'm creeping down on fuel. I'm a little worried that I'm not going to make 70, so I'm going to go back. Now, if I go back to here, this is the point of super efficiency. This is my vector. This is the area my rocket is traveling, and see, I just spit right up to 70 like no problem at all. I just pulled my gas way down. Okay, I'm to 70 now, so I can go all the way over. Welcome. My dog's barking at someone. I hope no one's at my door. Anything's possible. But I'm right in the middle of filming, so I'm really hoping that no one's at my door. So we're going to reach 70, and we're about out of gas, so we're going to see this thing spit. I'm just going to try to keep it going. Oh, we just ran out of gas. So I need to do something. I need to take my goo report, observe mystery goo. I need to log pressure data, keep log temperature, keep crew report, keep. Bam, I got it. Okay, now I'm going to review my report and transmit. Okay, now I'm in space at 70, and I'm at space at 70, and I can actually do all that again. My crew report's done, so I can take a crew report here. I must have missed it. I'll have to get it when I come back. Now I have no electrical charge, so I can't transmit anything at this point. Okay? But what I do need to do, dang, I'm not in space anymore. Okay, I didn't go high enough into space, so I kind of failed. I'll have to do this mission again. So we're going to save all this stuff. Let me just show you. I don't know if I can show you on the map. See what we've done. We've just basically done a big arc. That was our highest point. I didn't give myself enough time into space to do my space science, so I didn't get any of it. I failed. So that's what I was telling you earlier. You have to be ready to fail and do it again. So we're just going to actually have to do this again with another Kerbanaut. I have to get back here. I'm going to go ahead and eject this stage. And then I'm going to show you where we want to re-enter. We want to be facing heat shield towards the friction base, which now we're coming down. So I didn't give myself enough time to collect my data. I was in space hardly long at all. I was busy talking. It became dangerous very quick. So what I did is, based in the name of safety, I did not get my EVA report. We didn't leave the capsule like was planned. I'm going to turn my lights off. But we did accomplish half the mission, so we should call that a success. Now, I like to do this just for protocol. I can see my parachutes are blue over there, so that means it's okay, and I know. But listen, I always push the button twice. It's like I must just be like this strange human being who's scared. Something nice happened to us, though, because we did fail, is we're going to be able to do our a mystery goo in the water, which we weren't going to be able to do earlier, and we were going to have to save till later. So if you noticed, our drag chutes opened about 5,000 feet. You should be ready to take note of that because you had your pressure set at 38. So you know 38 is 5,000. Now that will change. That's only because Kerbin has an atmosphere. Okay? Some planets don't have atmospheres. Like our Mars counterpart doesn't have one. Well, it does, but its parachutes are partially efficient. The Moon has none. And Menmus has none also. 0 atmosphere, which means you have to use retro rockets to land. And since we don't have the retro rocket technology, we have to do it manually. It means if we're coming too fast, if we're coming too slow, we do nothing. We let gravity grab us. Anyway, we do have rules we abide by. 7 meters per second. We never want to hit the water any harder than 7 meters per second. We'll survive. But if we have things attached to us, they could break. And if we have a multi-tiered craft, you can kill Kerbals. If you can kill your passengers. The pilot capsule usually survives, but sometimes the passengers and the cargo. Well, in my example, the passengers are the cargo. So either your passengers or your cargo is destroyed. Now, 6-7's fine. But you can do things like jettison the heat shield. I would have got money back for that had I left it on, and I would have left it on. But I wanted to show you the 600-meter jettison. It'll fall, and then it'll splash below. Psh. If you were watching closely, you saw the shadow hit the ground, and that's something that we watch here is shadows, because it's basically the pilot's creed is if you kiss your shadow, you die. I don't know if it's a creed. It's just, it's one of them things. Never kiss our shadow. You can't touch your shadow. It's not, don't touch your shadow. And well, you can. You just hope it's controlled and you're landing. That's the only time is in a controlled landing is when you touch your shadow, and then you can use it. Depending on where the sun is in the sky. Oh, look, there's the moon right there, a blue sky moon, and there's the sun. And we call it the sun. I don't even think it has a name like Sol. I think we just say the sun. I guess you can call it Sol or solar. It's exactly what it is. It's very far away, and you have to stay away from it or it cooks your Kerbals. A lot of heat up there. When we get to solar panels, they work really efficient. Really efficient. Produce a lot of electricity, but you also heat up quick. But we won't have to even worry about orbit of the sun. So we're falling at 596, 58, 596, 59586. Different pressures, and then we splash down. And remember, so let's just do all our science here. Observe mystery goo, which is fine. That's 4 science points. Pressure data, we would have done this anyway because we would have had this instrumentation available. I actually had 2 of everything already. I didn't need those attached to the craft. That was a waste of money. And so I don't think I can do a crew report here. I can. Oh yes, because I didn't do one in space. That's correct. And then I can also do an EVA. That's extra vehicular activity report. And then we'll board. And then we'll recover vessel. So we actually missed space. So the thing I should do is jump right in and go get space right now with another. We actually have science to spend. I'm just gonna run in here and see if I can grab something. No, these conditions are too specific. It's got me flying at a certain altitude between a certain speed and firing my no, I'm not, I don't think I can meet those conditions. So what we're going to do is we're just going to jump in again, and we're going to repeat the process with a new Kerbonaut. See, I got Valentina some experience, and now I'm going to get Jebediah some experience. And we're just going to jump right out in the same rocket. And I'm going to try to do what I failed to do. The good thing is my upper atmosphere EVA. So what I'm going to shoot for is 72. I'm not even going to try to get into orbit. I tried to get fancy. I tried to create a nice long ellipse in my demonstration, and I basically botched the mission. This is the debriefing. What did we do right? We collected a lot of science. We learned. We only half failed. What did we do wrong? Half failure. We didn't collect in space. Why? Because we didn't get high enough. We just barely skipped the edge of space, and we didn't have time. And because of the demonstration, the raw, real demonstration, we also failed to, based on our busy brainedness, didn't get the mission accomplished in space. We just didn't have time. The thing we did right there was we realized that this is a safety problem. We stopped what we were doing. We were satisfied, and we brought